My first days I was very young, not quite 16 years of age, and it was quite an adventurous sight. The fire engines and the idea of what the future held for me. I had a lot of excitement there for it, and I moved into it very well. From day one right through, enjoyed many years of good service. Well, the station was very basic. It had 3 fire engines, just a basic engine bay. Premises up top was for the chief officer, and the staff numbered probably about maybe 15 full-time firefighters and maybe a dozen or so auxiliary firefighters. But the station itself was very basic, open, where now it's locked off from the public, but a very open, inviting building and premises to go into. Oh yeah, different backgrounds of people. Some came out of the war, World War II, and but they're all very stable and sensible, and they helped me a lot to guide me through into the job and all that it meant to be, with the responsibilities, and that it was quite a serious job, and the old guys actually were quite good in helping me along into the job. Training was quite intense. We had fire drills on a regular basis, also knot tying, things like that, knowledge of streets, also the watchroom procedure, which was very important, had to learn all of that, and overall to study on, we had drill sheets in the watchroom, which were an ideal thing to study if you could keep up with it. But the whole business was practical, hands-on, with plenty of verbal instruction. Well, strangely enough, I lived at Burnett Heads, and I'd only been in the work for about a month, and they had a house fire on the Esplanade at Burnett Heads near the Oaks, and my neighbour said, "Oh, there's the fire up there about 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's a fire up there on the Esplanade." So I went up and had a look, and sad to say, a woman had lost her life there. She was burnt to death. I think she was a chain smoker. That was my first contact with a serious job where the person was deceased. That would have been the first incident that I can recall. Generally, fireground work was quite demanding, and especially so in the middle of the night when the alarms went off. You went from sort of a state of rest to sudden get up and go. There was no delay. Yeah. And you had to be quite fit to handle that over the years. The one that really stands out is the old 1927 Dennis. A delight to drive, a challenge, a direct steering and a gated type gearbox. It was fun to drive. It had a bell as a warning device, and they put in a siren later on. But it was open topped, and the crew had to sit on benches on the side of the fire engine, no seat belts, so they held on for dear life. There was no accident, no one got hurt. Well, we had at the time a brass helmet, and which looked pretty good but fairly dangerous with electric danger about. But we had a big heavy coat called a turnout coat with brass buttons, a very heavy leather belt that had 2 pouches, one for a firefighter hatchet and a hose spanner, and also top boots, originally rubber, but that we moved on to leather over the time. One of the most very important duties was to keep the station and appliances very clean, and that included cleaning brass. And the one that required the most attention was the 1927 Dennis. It had firefighting nozzles, branches, in an upright position on open show, standpipes, all sorts of equipment that had to be polished, rails that were brass, and a big brass bell, and we had to do that on a regular basis. That was part of the duties that firefighters had to do. I started as a cadet firefighter, moved around through to senior firefighter, and then on to firefighter first class. Then later on, as the system changed and the rankings and requirements and things like that, I actually sat for 2 exams, the substation officer and station officer exams, and so I was qualified to do that. I did not like really the office work so much, and so I liked the hands-on front line firefighting. I stayed with that more so. I did take on responsibilities for the shift and in charge of the station for a while here and there, but I never pursued that. I was more settled, just in the front line, hands on, and that's where I stayed. Doing a worthwhile, important job, and it had a sense of excitement, and because you didn't know what the day might bring forth. Get out there together and do the job. And that in itself was good. It was nice to go to work to think, well, you can go and do something. If it comes, we have the confidence to get up and make a difference with it and help.